Hello there. Welcome back to Around the Grid. We're about to start our third season and get on to our second team. So we finally did win the championship this year with Bottas and Alonso, and we're probably going to end up leaving behind a pretty dominant car with a decent team behind it, so there could be potentially a bit of an issue next year. We've also done a fair decent amount of research here. They're going to be boosting the chassis, the front wing, the rear wing, the side pods, the underfloor, and of course the suspension. So every single part of the Alfa Romeo car we've actually developed pretty nicely, and we're going to be jumping over to Alpha Tauri. They unfortunately could not keep up with Haas, so that is our next destination. So let us get on with it, jump straight into our next team, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how Alfa Romeo is going to do next year. So switch team. Apparently Ferrari or Red Bull have no interest in us, but everyone else are actually fairly interested in us, and that's a good thing. But we're of course going to go with Alpha Tauri here. They, ended up with the poorest result, and we'll have to see what we do. I'm thinking that we might replace drivers. We might try and do what we did with Williams, which kind of proved that it is possible to power through in just one season if you have good enough drivers. So we might try that. We'll have to see. For now, though, we're going to negotiate sponsor obligations. And again, for the most part, we're just going to try and get rid of these or make them as, less intrusive as possible. Because, well, we don't really need the money. I don't think it's going to be a huge issue. And De Vries here, getting his control performance rating, lowered is fine. It's just 5 races this time around, so we're good. Now, we don't have a lot of money to start off with, just 20 million. So we're going to be in a little bit of trouble here. We could do a little bit of merchandising, but that does come with a pretty steep cost here. So, if we don't, though, it's going to really, our income per race is going to suffer. So for now, we're going to put in, we're not going to do any merchandising. We're going to gamble. What we could do is instead go for no development. We have Danny Rick, we have Nick. So we could do this instead. It's going to give us a little bit more funding. I think we'll just have to go with this. It's going to suffer. Let's be honest. If we get a talent, they're going to suffer. But it's what we're going to have to do if we want to develop. And I'm pretty sure these numbers are not accurate because the sponsorship value of 90 million, if we say 30 million base, then we have 2 million, 2.1 million per race. That's about 40. So I'm assuming this number is going to go up, and it hasn't actually taken in that increase in media appearance, if you will. So that's the hope. Apparently, long-term objective is points contender. New objective is 8th or above. In terms of our balance here, yeah, it's going to be a little bit interesting. Technical. They didn't do much research by the looks of it. So, yeah, this does kind of tell us where the AI is in terms of doing the research. So, Alpha Tauri here, I'd wager just did one research for each slot, which is horrible. They did 2 researches total. That does kind of explain why they are as bad as they are. Now, safety time, we have a massive amount, so we could potentially, again, just full send it. And I think that would be the funniest thing to do here, just go full send. And I'm a little bit unsure what team to pick here. I am tempted to go with a Ferrari engine, because we have better ERS durability, fuel efficiency. I'm a little bit unsure, though. No, you know what? We're going to gamble with Red Bull. Just go all in. All in on the power side. We have 90 million as a starting budget. That's not going to be great, but it's hopefully going to be enough. And apparently, Nick De Vries is now equal to Rick in terms of his development. So let's get started here. The goal here is going to be to get all 6 parts developed before Bahrain. We have just 51 days. That's probably going to be a little bit too tight, so let's say 4 parts, maybe 5. And the way that we're going to do this is actually pretty... Okay, they're not actually that bad. 60% as a base, so Yeah, I think we can definitely power through here. 69%? Yeah, these bases are a bit higher than I expected, I'll be honest. Look at these stats. So, car performance-wise, it's shit. But the stats ain't bad, so there's limits to how good our opponents can be. And that is good. So, even just an upgrade like this apparently isn't enough to bring us up into contention. But we'll try and get all the upgrades going, and then see where we're at. So the first things first here, we're going to put 6 engineers, and honestly, we could probably do with 3 maybe, because we have 3 other projects. Let's do it like this, and then I'll move them around afterwards. I'm a little bit unsure what's going to be the best here, but we are going to be rushing all projects. Now, the underfloor, I'm a little bit unsure what I want to put CFD time into. Suspension or underfloor. While I think about that, let's get the side pod running. And this one probably shouldn't give us any massive boosts either, so I'm not too worried, but it should still be alright. We're going to rush this one too. Keep on engineer for now. Again, we want to see if we can do as many projects as possible. And of course, we need to be able to make the parts too before the first race. So I'm thinking we do a pretty standard build here where we go for boosting the underfloor first. It's not a massive gain of stats here, but that's fine. We have so many units of ATR and wind tunnel. Again, these are 84 days, 112 days worth of development. So basically, we have over half a year's worth of development into this underfloor once this project finishes. And that development is going to boost our car pretty massively. So this should be perfectly fine to do, I dare say. And that's kind of what we're going to go with. We're just going to do underfloor first. We'll probably do suspension second. And then we'll do front wing, rear wing. And we're just going to go for full send, if you will. And try and get everything done before the first race of the season. Get everything done within this season in terms of getting that victory back to back. So this is potentially going to be another one of those Williams situations, if you will. And I'm looking forward to seeing if we can actually pull that off. If we have the capability to pull that off. Because the stats we're gaining are actually pretty massive. But the fact that we're not actually getting close to anyone else does kind of frighten me to think that, oh, the other cars are about 70% in terms of their development. That would be absolutely horrifying. But we shall see. Now, in terms of where we're at, the main concern that I have is that we're going to need to get the rear wing and front wing done too. And that can be a little bit troublesome. But it shouldn't be a huge issue here. And that's the thing. We want to make these 4 pieces first because they take long to manufacture. Chassis takes, a week. Underfloor takes a week. Side pods a week. Suspension, a week or more. And since these things take a long time to manufacture, we get them done first. And then we can do the slower to manufacture pieces. And we only have 3 slots. So that does also put us in a bit of a precarious position. And facility-wise, they haven't actually kept anything up to date. So, yeah, we're probably going to be struggling a little bit here. They haven't even built a helipad. So, honestly, let's get the helipad up and running before this season begins. And then we can start doing some other things as well. Now, the staff here, they're not too bad, honestly. I think we can be happy with the staff that we have inherited. Of course, I would have liked some better technical chief and head of aerodynamics, but honestly, currently it's not an issue. What we might do, though, is potentially replace De Vries, but it could be fun also to keep both of our drivers here, because De Vries could potentially now be about as quick or equal to Rick, and honestly, if we made him champion, that too would be quite hilarious. So we could, of course, see in terms of what drivers are, interested. So let's go over our rating and see here. We have Paris. He's a free agent. Honestly, that would actually be funnier. We could get Gasly, so we could potentially go for Paris and Gasly here. But I'm thinking that we get Paris. And we get him into car 2. Nick De Vries, 5 million to break his contract. Are you kidding me? What contract did they give him? 5-year contract at 2.5 million. Okay. Rick, what's your contract like? Yeah, you're going to be expensive to break too, so we might just be forced to keep our drivers to make sure that we keep the economy running. For now, though, what we are going to do before we do anything else is actually analyze our car versus the Alfa Romeo, just to give it a little bit of a, idea where how far we're behind. And you can see the Alfa Romeo car this year isn't actually good or anything. It's not good compared to the rest of the field. Compared to a Red Bull, let's have a look and see how far behind we are. 1.5 kph, 20% base build, 100 here, 100 here, 100 here. So yeah, we're pretty far behind already, but I think we can catch up. So can we win with these two drivers? Doubtful. Are we gonna basically have Perez get sweep him with some revenge? That would be hilarious. Honestly, that would actually be a funny storyline if we took Perez into an Alpha Tauri and slapped Verstappen. That would be the best storyline. Who's actually in Red Bull right now? I guess we'll get an update on that a little bit later. But for now, let us go ahead and snatch ourselves a Perez. And we are going to replace him with the boy. We're going to give him a 5-year contract. I have no clue how much we're going to have to, offer this man as a salary. 12 million, I think, as a minimum. Probably closer to 20. So let's see here what we can actually, tempt him with. Let's offer this contract, see what he says. And 5 seasons is too long, and the salary isn't high enough. Okay, so let's put that down to 2, and we'll try and go all the way up to 16. So we're increasing it quite drastically here. But I feel like it would be worth it just for the storyline of having Perez kind of outcompete Verstappen. So we need even more money. Let's try 20. And again, this doesn't affect cost cap, but of course our economy isn't great, so can imagine that this is going to affect us anyways in that manner. So we're just going all in here because his patience is getting lower. And as you can see, even this is a little bit too little for him. Patience is low, so do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to offer him 24 million. And I'm also going to go ahead and save here, just to be on the safe side. So we'll get that save game going, and then we'll see what he says. Now, before anyone says anything, the save game, the reason why I wouldn't want to show that is because I'm planning something for the weekend. I don't want to spoil it, so don't worry about that. But let's see, does he like 24 million? I feel like that should be more than enough to keep him. And he's still declined the contract. But we're getting closer, so we'll try and reload and get it up to 25. It's a little bit cheesy to reload, but I kind of want Paris just for the storyline. Of course, doing it with the Breeze 2 would be funny, but I feel like Paris would be even better. So we'll try this once more. Here we are, finally managed to argue a contract that he wanted. I did kind of forget about signing bonus, but the second I slapped this in, 25 million, 3 seasons. Yeah, this is an insane contract, honestly. And it's going to cost us a lot of money. So, yeah, this is going to be potentially putting us in a bad spot. I think 6 million now. After we've done the first set of development should be fine. But I am incredibly worried right now how our finances are actually going to be looking. Projection here. We're going to make 144 million over the course of this season. And driver, De Vries. Then we have Perez. Rick, honestly, it shouldn't be too much of a problem, but I want to see what the monthly balance is. So we make 2.2 million. That is incredibly low. Usually we get about 5 million. So yeah, we're going to have a really, really interesting season here financially. And that does also put a little bit of pressure onto us in terms of getting off a little bit to a flying start here. Now, we did see a little bit sneak peek of where the drivers have went, but I think we're going to go into a little bit of a better sneak peek right now. So I think everything's good. We're just going to keep the staff as they are. We'll keep the development for the drivers and everything unbalanced. I don't think it's going to matter much. We could, of course, try and develop Power Gear, but both Rick and Perez are 34 and 35 years old, so kind of limited to how much they can develop. Facilities, we can't really do anything with them. We don't have the money, so for now, we're just going to go ahead and continue. And we have constructed the helipad, so that will help. But yeah, let's go ahead and see what we have here in terms of rosters. So, Alfa Romeo, Valtteri Bottas, Alonso, Verstappen, Leclerc, and Red Bull. We have Russell and Sainz in Ferrari, Ocon and Hamilton in Mercedes, Giovinazzi and Tsunoda, Stroll and Guan Yu Zhou, Magnussen and Gasly, Albon and Norris, Rick and Perez, Schumacher and Sargent. But I don't know if I believe that, because I'm pretty sure that I saw... Oh, he's still there. I read the red wrong. I thought Fernando had gone to Ferrari for a second. So, nothing really too out of the obvious there. I don't know why you care, Horner. He didn't have a contract with you. So yeah, nothing too out of the ordinary. Looking forward to Ocon Hamilton fight, I guess. But yeah, Haas is probably gonna be our next team. Let's just put it like that. I think we'll just skip the Formula 2, Formula 3 rosters, honestly, and get going. We are going to be spending some money on the helipad, though, because the main way that we're going to be getting money is through basically sponsor goals. So we're going to get the 2 parts done here, and then we'll start working on making the front wing and the rear wing. And then we'll see where our car is actually at in terms of competitiveness compared to the rest of the group. Okay. I'm kind of serious problem to design of sideboards AT25. Need to pause design of all projects. Okay, so we're not getting the rear wing and the front wing for Bahrain, most likely. We'll just have to eat that problem. There's nothing much we can do about it, honestly. We'll just have to, you know, take that as the L it is. There's no real way around it. The sign work has been fixed, caused by human error. Working longer hours to rush for intense development can be hard on engineers, so mistakes happen. But I more than recognize the importance of rapid car development. So basically saying that the issue happened because we're running rushed designs. Chassis and the underfloor designs are completed. So now I want to see. We have 24 days. Do you think we'll be able to develop a front wing or a rear wing for that matter within these 24 days? Honestly, I'd have to put my money on ain't happening. But we can always see. So we could potentially rush maximum and get a front wing, which is probably going to be more important, honestly, for Bahrain here than getting the DRS effectiveness up. So we're going to go ahead and do this. It is going to be a rush project, and we're going to do the same here with the rear wing. We're going to be rushing it, but that shouldn't actually be you know, a huge issue or anything like that. It should be perfectly fine. So this is what we'll go with, 13% increase in DRS effectiveness. It's not even going to bring us close to Red Bull's basic DRS effectiveness. That tells you a little bit of how far behind we are. But I don't think it's going to be a big deal. If we rush this project, it'll be done immediately after Sakir. So that should mean that we can get it for Jeddah. So by Jeddah, unless we have any other delays, we should have a completely new car. Now, the main problem that we're going to have now is actually manufacturing costs, because the chassis, it's going to take 20 days to make, and it's going to cost 1.1 million. And the same here for the... What's the side post that we're done? No. Suspension? No. Underfloor? Yeah. It's also going to cost us some money. So that does put us in a bit of a squeeze here. We have 100,000. Once a month, so we're going to get an additional 2 million. And now the question becomes, what do we do with these 2 million? We have 21 days until Bahrain. And we are kind of limited on what we can do, because we have 2 projects finishing now, the side pods and the suspension. So of course we want to go ahead and make them, but we potentially here, because of the money we spent on Paris, potentially we're going to be in a financial place where we can't. And Paris has immediately increased his cornering ability, so that is good. And the picker here isn't too bad, honestly. So what I'm thinking we're going to do here is we're going to try something different this season. We're going to be focusing on pit stop errors rather than anything else. And we're going to allow the pit times to probably drift into, let's say, 2.7. As long as it stays around 2.7, I think we'll be happy, is what I'm planning to say here. So we'll try and make something happen with that, but it might be a little bit difficult. And we're also going to be trying to keep the tiredness of the engineers to, for the most part, well rested. So we'll give a couple of resting days here, then go back to the gym. And as you see, this brings the time down slightly, which is kind of what we want. But more than anything, it brings down the chance of mistakes. So that is what we're going to be focusing on this season. Car building, we're just going to ignore it. But I'm wondering if this also, the car building skill has an effect on your fatigue. So that could probably be something we test at some other time. For now, though, we're going to go ahead with this pit crew training. And our pit crew manager here is actually pretty decent. He lacks leadership. So basically, pit stop errors will be harsher, but honestly, he's pretty decent for all the other stats. So I am very happy with him. But yeah, let's see it now. Once the sidepod design is complete, we do need to manufacture them. Of course, I'd say manufacturing these for Bahrain is more important than starting another project. And that is kind of what we'll be seeing here. Of course, starting an underfloor here could be very, very beneficial because, again, the underfloor here is something we spend CFD time on. So it poses the question, should we go full CFD time? Sorry, full underfloor here? That's the wrong way. Sorry, I almost made a huge error. Should we just go full underfloor and get this out for Jeddah, which probably is going to benefit us more than having the suspension for Bahrain. And I think that is what we're going to do here. This project is going to cost us 1.4 million though, which is going to put us into negative cash balance. And also we're blocked because of it, so we can't even do it. So yeah, we'll have to leave a slot here open until we're done with Bahrain in 19 days. It sucks, but my financial ineptitude has put us in that position, so we'll lose about 3 weeks of development as a result. And again, it's just a loss that we're gonna have to take. And even then, if we have a look here at the development, the manufacturing here, it'll take us 8 days to get 2 underfloors made. So we won't even have the suspension or the front wing ready for Bahrain most likely, which is even more unfortunate. But it just proves that we are a little bit behind on financially, and of course we do need to upgrade the factory this year. So is it going to be rough? Of course. Can we make something out of it? Maybe. Depends. But for now, we're going to go ahead and manufacture 1 suspension. And with the cash remaining here, I don't actually know where we're getting the cash from. Probably, I know. We'll probably have the, not that one. We have the tour center up and running, so we get 75k weekly, which is actually coming really, really clutch this year. So what we're going to do now that we made that suspension is that we're actually going to go ahead and start the design for that underfloor that we put CFD time into. And again, this is going to be a huge, huge upgrade for everything. Now, we could, of course, also sacrifice some cornering ability and get a little bit extra top KPH. And I'm kind of tempted to do that because we don't lose too much cornering and we gain 0.3 KPH. So we're going to go ahead and do this for this underfloor, and that should be fine. And I am going to put just 2 engineers on it. We're going to speed it up a little bit. We're getting 39 days. We honestly, if we're getting it that late, we might as well just run it normally because we'll get a little bit extra expertise by doing it. So yeah, a little bit frantic right now because I have a little bit too much to go on here. Let us gamble with a sponsor payout here that can help us after Bahrain. That's going to be the gamble here, the big gamble. Chassis has been manufactured. I don't think we have enough money here to go ahead and make a front wing, even if I want to. So yeah, we're blocked for insufficient parts. We could emergency it, but I'd rather say that we take Bahrain as a bit of an L here because I spent a little bit too much money on Paris. If I'd, taken $500,000 off that signing bonus, it would have been good. So I put myself in this situation myself, and we have just, moved the week, so we shouldn't have any extra money. But yeah, at least we'll get a little bit of upgrades going into Bahrain. And as stupid as it sounds, we're going to gamble on Paris. Now, I kind of regret taking the control hit on car 2 now, which sucks. But we'll just have to live with my silly decisions. So for now, our car is, if we go into analysis first, our car is dead last with the exception of cooling and the acceleration. So this is the engine though. So again, the car will probably be dead last there too. But what I want to see here now is if we go in the warehouse and apply the things that we have available, which is the side pods, the chassis, the underfloors, and for car 2, the suspension. And then we have a look at where we are at right now. So we've already been boosted in the high-speed corners here. So Yeah, we've been boosted a little bit in the high-speed corners, but if we take a look now and say car 2, let's see, Alpha, sorry, I should just go here, car 2. We're up to 13th, so we're making progress. We still have the front wing and the rear wing, but cornering-wise, we're still kind of struggling, and that is a bit concerning. So we'll try the best that we can to power through this year and get the championship in one attempt, kind of like we did with Williams, but I think it's going to be a little bit rough. So in terms of guarantees, I'm pretty sure both cars can reach Q2, I hope. For reaching Q3, I don't think we can do with anything more than one car. I probably should be a little bit more careful here. If we're going to gamble on fastest lap, we're going to have to pit for fastest lap towards the end, with Rick at least. It's a bit of a gamble, but I think it's a gamble that we're going to gamble on. And qualifying position streak here. Let's just say that one of our cars is going to qualify in the top 10 for the next 3 races. And then we can go higher than that after that if the car allows for it. So with that said, I'll get practice done, I'll get the quality done, and we'll see where we stand at Bahrain this year. But financially, we are in ruin. So Q1 is not promising, as you might see here. Rick is out in 20th, and we did that final run on fresh tires. But it is pretty competitive this year. 29-0, 30-0. So every single car was within a second of each other, almost. So we're a couple of hundreds off. Paris is down in 13th, so it's also a bit problematic in terms of if we can get into Q3 here, we might end up in financial ruin after this quality. We'll have to see. But this is definitely a little bit concerning for a few reasons, let's be honest. But hopefully we can make it into Q3 here. And if we can't, I'm going to be a little bit upset. Bottas, Alonso are doing well, though, which is nice to see. But, yeah, definitely might be that the car are a bit too close. But that is half a tenth slower than the last best lap. But as you can see, Verstappen has improved on that. So I think we might be in trouble here. But I think what we're going to have to do here with Perez is, once he comes in now, we're going to immediately send him back out, basically behind Leclerc, on the fresh set of softs, because we don't really have any other choice. I really would like to have 2 sets of fresh softs for the race itself, but at the same time, we are financially dependent on getting into Q3, and of course getting fastest lap. So we might have to compromise Perez in terms of getting points in this first race, in order to get fastest lap to be on the safe side. But we'll deal with that once we get there. At least a little bit of an improvement up to P4. And he should have enough time in now that he can do one more run to make sure that we get into Q3. And that is going to be the goal here. So everyone is leaving the pits now. We kind of have to go. That's the thing. We're running out of time. So I think we can wait for Verstappen to go, like so. And this should just be on the edge. Verstappen is going to pit. So we should have a decent gap here to work with. And we should just have enough time to get around the lap. I think we're safe, but again, I want to be absolutely secured and in this case. And I can see the Red Bulls are a lot quicker than the rest of the grid here. It looks like Bottas might be out. Schumacher, I'm actually surprised he made it into Q2 even. And we don't really improve, but we're safely into Q3, which is the important part here. And it does show that Perez can be somewhat competitive. So I'm looking forward to seeing if we can actually pull that off, though. But the question now is a pretty interesting one in terms of that. Do we save 2 sets of tires for the race? Because softs here are really, really good. It's Bahrain. So that becomes a bit of an issue. Do we gamble on just doing 2 runs on these shit softs and just eat whatever time we're given? Or do we sacrifice a little bit of that soft tire in order to hopefully start a little bit further up the grid? It's a tough choice, honestly. It's a pretty tough choice, but 29.8, that's not a great time. That's the problem. And we will only have time for one more run. So the question then becomes, do we send him out again? 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 Do we send him out or do we keep him in? I think we're going to have to gamble on going for fresher tires here. It's just what it is, and we'll just have to eat the loss for the race itself. I think that is our best bet here. So let's speed things along here. Because I say, if we start 6th or even 5th, that would be massive. Let's be honest. Leclerc starts his final lap a little bit early here. Let's see, 2:30 should be the last when people get sent out. So I think we take the gap here. And we actually timed it to perfection right before 4 of them went. And I think this should be decent enough here. Leclerc is going to get slowed down because he needs to go through so many people. And we end up with a really, really free lap. We'll have to see, though, if Perez can improve. Sector 1 is an improvement. What about Sector 2? Improvement. What about Sector 3 here? And he doesn't improve by much, though. That's the thing. We'll have to see if Gasly or Bottas can pip us, and they do, so we did kind of waste a soft tire there. But this is kind of what we expected here. Our car is not top 10 material, so Perez has done a good job, and we are probably going to need a few upgrades to get Verstappen. Now, with that said, we are going to have a very interesting race here from Rick. We're going to have to see if we can actually sneak him up into the points. And to do that, we're going to do a pretty basic strategy here, which is that we start on the softs, we're going to burn them basically immediately, go on to the mediums, stretch those, and then probably finish with an aggressive soft, or we'll have to see what the strategy kind of allows for. 60 seconds quicker than this. Other than that, what we could do is probably start on a soft tire, push it, go onto a hard tire, then go onto a medium tire, and do something like this. It's still not horrible, but as you can see, this is still going to be quicker. So that is probably the strategy, honestly, we're going to use for both. With the exception that we're going to be starting Perez on the medium tire, going over to, I think, an aggressive soft will do the job. And then we might need to do another aggressive soft. Rather going aggressive on that set and going full attack on the final one is probably the best bet here. Because, again, we did burn that tire. We shouldn't have, seeing where we qualified. But this is the best we can really do. The reason why I'm starting on the medium is, again, go long, try and stay away from the cars behind, get gaps so that when we pit, we don't have to overtake much. And that's going to be the hope. For Rick, is basically the opposite. Try and make up as much time early on as we can. Pit early, go on the medium, and try and jump as many cars as possible in the pit stops. But what I expect is everyone to run pretty aggressive strategies, but we'll do our best. Let's send Rick and Perez out here and see where we stand in this first race.
And this is it, the Bahrain Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
All right, lights out. Are we going to have a decent start here? Looks like at least we're holding positions, which is probably the best we could hope for.
Use overtake button.
Paris battling a little bit with Stroll. It's also good. Inside corner, we might be able to eke out ahead. Stroll, I believe, is in soft tire. A lot of these cars are, so they're going to be quick. Only 3 medium runners ahead of us, including Verstappen. But I think this should be... This is a decent enough start, but you can already see Rick is almost falling out of DRS already, so the car is not great, although we do have Hamilton with us, which kind of explains that. But for the time being, we're just going to speed things along here. We will keep on working Perez, who's also falling backwards. The medium's not really doing much here in the beginning. And we're going to try and make something out of this, but I think it's going to be difficult. We are still lacking a lot of parts, so I'll do my best. But we'll have to see exactly where we end up here by the end of this race. For now, we'll push, do our best, and as I said, just see how this stint unfolds. We have some of the first pit stops starting here. In this case, we've had Russell pit, and as you can see, he's towards the back of the grid. There's not actually a lot of stretch here in the grid here at the moment. If you pit from first, you're going to end up towards the back, so that is a bit of concern. But we are going to be pitting Rick now, and he's made a little bit of work in terms of getting up there. Not much by any means of the imagination, but enough that hopefully now when, as you can see, even Russell end up behind us, that when we do pit, of course, with an error, we can try and make something happen. It's going to be a little bit very difficult here for Rick to actually get anything done, I think. But for Paris, he still has opportunity for points, and he, as I said earlier, we might have to sacrifice points just to secure fastest lap. It will very heavily depend on how things go here. For now, though, we'll just kind of sit where we are, and when we pit, we can hopefully get something done. I'll try and move him upwards, but because it's been a, just a big DRS turn so far, it has been fairly difficult. But I think we can try on the main straight now, maybe. If not, we'll go ahead and recharge a little bit before we try and make a move. But again, pit stops aren't too far behind. The soft run is actually staying out pretty long. So if we now can catch up to, say, Leclerc, Gasly, Bottas, Verstappen, it's not going to be too bad for us here. But we are currently a little bit battling with Ocon. So we probably will just fly by now. We should have DRS. He will not. So we'll see. Things are looking decent. We'll make the best out of this. So here we are. Paris is now running alone. Everyone else has pitted, so we're going to be probably in a tad bit of trouble here, no matter what we do. But we are going to be pitting onto that fresh set of softs, and we are going to be running them aggressive. So that's what we're just going to set up here. Now, in terms of where Paris is going to come out, I hope that he's going to come out, ahead of Albon. I don't think it's going to happen, but we can always hope, But yeah, potentially behind Ocon. And that's going to be a little bit problematic in terms of getting overtakes done, but we do have a little bit of free space, so we're going to have to make our way through that DRS train sooner rather than later. Now, Ricky is actually doing fairly well on his medium stint. He's making his way upwards. He's getting a little bit more confidence, although it's dropping again now. So we'll be managing both of these drivers, and we'll see if we can get ourselves back up into, again, points for both of them. We've had a bit of an incident here in the, 4th and 5th. That might be some pit stops. That definitely will be some pit stops. I assume both of them has gotten some tire damage at the very least. Norris and Bottas 50%. That means they're going to be pitting before the end, but we kind of expected that anyways. Paris is currently running in 10th. Pretty decent, honestly, but with Bottas now down in 9th with a penalty, same with Norris. They kind of fall down into, blocking us territory, which is unfortunate. But Paris just flies by. Very, very nice. Now, Rick here he's in no man's land. That's the best way I can describe it. The car just is not working for us at all. And it is incredibly unfortunate. But he just has no chance of scoring points, unfortunately, in this race. That's the only way I can describe it, unless that final soft stint is, magical. For Paris, he still has a pretty good chance here because we're going to be running that final soft stint on full attack. So I still see chances for him. Everyone, for the most part, still has to pit. Potentially the medium runners there could stay out. But a lot of cars ahead of us are going to have to pit with us. So the more time we make up now, the better. And of course, if we pit after them onto soft stint, that's going to be basically, perfect. That's going to help out a ton too. And the confidence here now has brought him up pretty high.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, Ricky has had a bit of an incident as well.
Should be able to take a look here. Now this is Logan Sargent. Pushing a bit too hard at this point. Has to be said, that was pretty...
I guess he slightly touched Rick and destroyed his tires by the looks of things. Not completely destroying them, but destroying them enough that we need to pit him. So, let's pit Rick here for a set of softs. We're going to tune him down to aggressive already, just to get that out of the way. But so far this first race, it does look somewhat promising. Again, Paris has 4 out of the 6 parts, but he doesn't have the new upgraded underfloor. If he can upgrade 2-3 more parts more, I think we might have a chance of snatching the Driver Championship. I don't know about the Constructors, but I'm interested to see where we stand at the end of the season. So for now, we'll work through Paris's final stint here. And we'll see where we stand once we get, once we get closer to that. Although we had another incident immediately here between, I think, the Ferraris.
Now I think this, yes, it's Carlos Sainz.
Sainz and Alonso. That might be Alonso losing a lot of tire, while Sainz lost a lot of front wing.
Had a lock up.
Seems Alonso's fine. Rick having a lockup, though, is a little bit problematic because tire. But Sainz getting kind of touched there is good for us, at least. But yeah, we'll have to see where Rick actually ends up by the end of this. And if we want to go for fastest lap, we're going to have to do with Paris. Which means that the second we pit onto that set of new soft tire, we are going to go for fastest lap. There's just no way around that. I don't know what Leclerc's fastest lap right now is, but it's going to be rough. Rick just doesn't have the pace to even go for fastest lap. We could, of course, pit him towards the end of the race and try something then. But even then, this is going to be probably a little bit more than we bargained for. So for the time being, we'll just run top up. Albon is running same kind of tires like us, older ones. But we'll run top up, try and save up a little bit of energy, and go for fastest lap. For now, though, we're just going to wait until we can actually pit. And we have yet another incident. This time it's Gasly and Alonso, by the looks of it. That is Alonso being very lucky that he isn't in the wall, honestly. But that kind of allows Perez to overtake Alonso on track. And 15 laps on those old mediums is probably going to be a little bit too much to ask for. So unfortunately that is Alonso's race kind of ruined, particularly also with the penalty. And what we are going to do here is just kind of stay out, honestly. We're going to run at least one more lap, maybe 2 more laps on these softs and recharge. That should be fine. We are running it, really close, because we are going to come out in 8th, 9th. That's basically what we're going to be fighting. We're going to be fighting for the last few points. But I think we don't really have a car that can, perform better than that. However, if we run with Alonso here, I don't think that's going to benefit us either. So we'll do one more lap to just get full recharge, balance, conserve. And we'll be pitting on this next lap, and then we'll have the out lap, then we'll go for fastest lap, and then we'll see where we stand going from there. But this could be a very interesting season, because it seems like we are towards the back of the grid, but with some more upgrades, I think we can fight for podiums, because it seems like every team is somewhat close to each other. So that does bring me confidence. And again, now we're not really pushing. We will be going for 10th place, of course, final point. But before that, we kind of want to go for fastest lap. And that might actually be really, really compromised right now, because we only have 1.5 seconds to the rest of the pack here. So we're actually going to conserve and slow down on purpose in order to try and get a good, fastest lap going here. So this is probably going to suck, honestly. Probably would be better to try and overtake them before we go for this. But it is future financials. I'm being hassy right now in terms of the greed. The only thing I can hope for now is that we get DRS from Gio here to kind of make up for the time that we're losing right now. And we did get DRS, and with that we might actually get DRS from Norris here too on the final straight, provided of course that we don't lose too much time just staying behind them. And that is a big if. We did snatch fastest lap for the moment, so it's not all bad. We are currently in 10th. We are lacking fuel, though, so I'm thinking that we're just going to tuck in. We're going to get the fuel back to... Well, I guess we didn't tuck in. I guess we'll tuck into Stroll and the cars in front then instead. But yeah, we kind of want to tuck in and kind of get the fuel back into positives. If we can, that is. But this is looking good now for Perez. I am tempted, though, to pit Rick towards the end here, and to see how well can he perform in terms of setting a quick lap. For now, though, we'll just work Perez, and we'll see if we can, snatch points and keep fastest lap. So currently, it's actually looking really, really good here for Perez for 2 reasons. We're catching Sainz and Alonso fairly rapidly here. But secondly, because Alonso has that penalty, we could potentially also catch Russell. So 3 laps to go. Can we get a podium here? It's going to basically require us to get by at least 1 car on this straight right now, which should be doable. It's just Alonso, which kind of sounds bad when I say it like that. But we are catching, so I'm hoping that we get Sainz, maybe Russell. It's going to be rough, but it is potentially doable, and that's the important part here. Now, we have actually pitted Rick. I'm going to have him run just a lap here on light. I was focused a little bit too much there on Paris. But I want to try to just have him set a quick lap. And if he can do anything, you know, to compete. I think Paris is close enough here that he should get by even without any energy usage or anything like that. And he has now a lap to catch up to Russell. So if we can get within DRS, that would be amazing. If we can't, it's going to be a little bit problematic. So we're just going to deploy everything that we have, because we need to get him on this DRS section. That's basically the only chance that we have. So we'll push what little fuel we have. We'll keep it balanced for now, slow things down a little bit. And this kind of does screw over Rick in terms of getting that fastest lap attempt. But I think if we just tell him to push from here on out to the end, that should be fine too. While we focus a little bit on what Paris is doing. So we want to deploy, I think. Yeah, we do. And I want to know exactly where he is. He's about to get into that final corner. Let's push. And do we get DRS? We do. That should be it. And we'll put it to neutral. So surprisingly enough, we managed to snatch, potentially, yeah, we could still mess up, a podium. That would actually be quite amazing as our first race here. I did not expect a podium. I was hoping for 10th. But I want to see how Rick performs now on this lap. So he's setting a purple sector. So purple sector 1. He might actually snatch fastest lap here. Green sector 2. I think I'm just going to slow him down. Because we have fastest lap on Paris, and honestly that's going to be more worth it for us, although he does snatch it even if we tell him to slow down. So we get no extra point. I shot myself in the leg twice. But yeah, at least we should have gotten the fastest lap there, which means that we get a little bit extra money. Us being again on the podium is more than I expected, and it does give us a good chance to fight for at least a driver championship this year with Paris, which sounds weird when said like that. And in the driver championship here, we are going to allow, again, we're just going to focus Paris. Constructors, we'll just have to try and do the best that we can. It's going to be rough. But I think this could be a fun one. Once we, of course, get all the upgrades going. And we're just going to focus design. We're going to go all in on design here. We failed to reach Q2, but we did reach Q3. We did get fastest lap. So if we go times 3 on this, this should be, we lose 150, so scratch that one. We get about 600 extra. So, well, it actually tells you here. We lose 150, 850,000 gained. I take that. That is fairly decent money, particularly when we're in a pinch with that. We also get the rear wing design finished. And with that, we're first going to be making the parts, which sounds silly. But we're going to go ahead and design, sorry, not design. We're going to go ahead and manufacture 2 front wings, because we need them. We could probably go for 3 here just to be on the safe side. And I think we'll do that. We're also going to go ahead and manufacture a couple of rear wings. I think 2 is enough, because I still want money to do another design. And we're also going to go ahead and manufacture that second suspension. So with that, we have 1.3 million remaining. And we do want to get started on the designs here. That's the thing. So the underfloor is getting worked on. We could start working on the chassis. But with the money that we have remaining, I'm wondering what would be the best. I think the best player is actually to work on the suspension. It's going to be the next thing we focus on anyways. So let's get low cornering up, let's get brake cooling up, airflow up, and we'll also get a little bit of drag reduction, get that little bit of extra speed. And again, this is car 1, car 2. We'll lose a little bit, but we'll gain this. And this is not a design that we're going to use. We're going to do 2 to 3 designs that we're not going to be using before we make one that we are going to use. So this is basically just to boost the low speed cornering ability, to boost the drag reduction, help with brake cooling and airflow front. Basically just to increase expertise in those. And we'll run it normally because of that. But we'll deal with this a little bit later. For now, though, we are poor, and that is not going to change. But with this, we should at least, provided we don't crash, have a full set of pieces for both cars for Jeddah. So, I'm going to be interested in seeing how that pays off. We also have a new ATR period starting, so I probably should have waited with that, with what I made. And let's see where we're looking at. So we're looking at tire, we're currently well rested, so that's good. So I think once again, we'll do what I said. We'll work on the pit stop errors. It just seems to be better that way in terms of tiredness for one. But I'd also say that getting the error chance down is going to be more important now that they've kind of changed how pit stops work. Rather than getting the pit stop times down. Because if I can get this down to 2 seconds, sorry, not 2 seconds, 2%, I'd rather take that over quicker pit stops, in all honesty. So it is a bit of a weird one. Let's see, that looks good. And again, we're just going to kind of ignore car building. But I will allow some gym time. Some swole time. But I do want to keep them at tired at most while they're in the gym. So let's put in gym work here too. I'll put them 27%. They should still be fine going into next month. And we keep things basically as is with a minus 1% chance of making an error. So I'm very happy with that schedule. But yeah, let's see what the car looks like once we get down to Jeddah. The rear wing has been made. And as I said, we might go ahead, depending on, money, and actually upgrade the front wing first. And that might be actually what we do here because the month ticked over and we got a little bit more money. And in terms of the ATR period, it starts tomorrow. So let's do this. And we're going to go ahead and develop that front wing with full CFD and wind tunnel time. And we are probably going to rush this one. That's the thing. We're probably going to rush this front wing rather than doing anything else. And I think that's going to be the key here. To anything that we use CFD and wind tunnel on, we're going to rush and get done as quickly as possible. And I do kind of want to focus on every cornering ability right now. That way we can make more balanced ones in the future. But airflow sensitivity, brake cooling, it's high enough where we don't really need to worry about it, honestly. So we'll go with this. We are going to rush it if we can afford it. We can. I don't know where the extra money came from, but we'll take it. And we'll rush this and get it done in 20 days. So we are kind of losing a little bit of development because we aren't maximizing our slots. And that is kind of the problem with running a lot of rushed projects in a team that doesn't have the money. But again, the front wing particularly, we're going to rush. Everything else we'll just start doing normally now. And once we get past up and running, we should be closer to, more of a positive funding. Although, I guess the way that I know why we're getting money. The driving media appearances is what's giving us money. So we'll get money after they do it then. That's my bad. Okay, so we can check the calendar for when we get more money. But front wings have been manufactured, rear wings have been manufactured, and I believe the suspension should also have been manufactured. And with that, we can probably have another look at the car. So let's install this on both cars. And let's see here, the rear wing should give us half a kph of top speed. But we... Did I make an error here and not get rid of the extra weight? I think that's what's happening here. I need to go to the warehouse and have a look here. Yeah, I must have made an error here. Gone a little bit too quickly, and we made a rear wing that... Did I maximize extra weight? Oh my god, I'm actually a doofus. I'm recording this late at night. You guys should make fun of me for that, because that is hilariously stupid of me. We're gonna have to rush another rear wing quickly as we can. For now, though, we are just gonna have to run with this one, I think. It is Jeddah. This is gonna suck. You can even see this little, difference here has a huge effect on the rest of this. I think we just have to ignore this rear wing. Like, the boost is nice, but it doesn't catch up to anyone. And the cornering is going to be more important in that regard. But this is a huge boost, the front wing at least. So let's get the front wing on. And I want to have a look at the rear wing again, because the only way that I can read this is that I've put the slider to maximum. And we can have a look at that, actually, by just going into the rear wing here. So yeah, I added 3 kilograms. What the rear wing was supposed to look like was this. So yeah, we're not going to use that rear wing. Unfortunately, it's going to suck, don't get me wrong. But we're just going to have to live without it and just chalk it down to me being a little bit too rushed and a little bit too happy on turning everything right. Now, it isn't actually because I'm stressing or anything. It's just because I'm excited at trying a new team and being able to try the Williams strategy because I think it would be fun. So I probably went a little bit too quickly around the paddock yelling that I'm going to enjoy this. And we messed up the rear wing. Well, I messed up the rear wing. Don't want to blame that on anyone else but myself. So yeah, we'll be running without our rear wing. The cornering is just more important than the 0.6 kph we get in top speed, in my personal opinion. But the car now is fairly decent. If we compare it to the Red Bull, we don't have them beat in anything but the extra weight. But yeah, we're very close in low speed, incredibly close in medium, incredibly close in high speed, not in dirty air, not in DRS, not in top speed. So if we're going to beat Red Bull this year, it's going to be on strategy. And again, this series isn't still standard. And if we're going to do one season challenges back to back to back now, because I've proven that it's possible with Williams, we are going to keep things on standard because I don't think that's possible on hard. We're going to go all in for fastest lap again. I'm going to say one car in Q3. I'm still a little bit uncertain on Danny Rick, unfortunately. So this is what we'll do. And yeah, with that, let's jump into the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, Jeddah, and see how we perform.
So Rick did a little bit better this time around. Qualified 12th, but on the other hand is basically just, again, a couple of hundreds off of 10th. And for the top 10 here, they're all within 6/10 of each other, which is pretty decent. We have person 7 so far, but we have still one more quality to do. And potentially here we'll be falling down in Q3. So you're probably also realizing my voice is a little bit different. Just come home from work, it's been rather cold, so my nose is a little bit stuffy, but I'm fine, don't worry about it. So we'll get Paris out here, and hopefully we can still have a decent, qualifying performance. And we'll have to make a decision if we want to go for the 1-stop or the 2-stop. The 2-stop being probably less effective than the 1-stop, but we might want to take the gamble there, we'll see. A fairly decent quali here. 5th place is what we get. And we once again see that the Red Bulls are really, really dominant with Leclerc and Verstappen. I think this isn't going to change for most of the season. We'll be seeing them up top. Then we have the Alphas. They've gotten some upgrades, so the car isn't bad. We didn't leave them with a shitbox. And then we have, well, us and Tsunoda, the Ferraris, Hamilton, Norris. So it's going to be fairly interesting to see how this evolves over the course of the season. Of course, we probably would have had a better result here if I'd been a little bit better at planning my upgrades, particularly that rear wing, which we added, well, I added weight to for a silly reason. Let me put it like that. Now, I'm a little bit unsure what our strategy here should be. Medium to hard could really be the play here and just go full attack. Degradation-wise, it should be okay. But if we see that the degradation on the medium is higher than anticipated, we can always just change the strategy. Now, here, going, with a more aggressive strategy should, in theory, pay off more. But it also does carry more risk, in the sense that you can easily get held up. Jeddah has high degradation to begin with. So while running something like this can seem viable on paper, because it's usually very hot here, the degradation will usually start falling off massively here. So you'll end up having to pit 3, 4, even 5 sometimes lap before you want to. So that makes this very, very, less viable, if you will. I am tempted to give something like this a go for Danny Rick, because he starts further back to begin with. Though we start on the softs, we use them as much as we can, and then we go on to a hard set, try and jump as many as we can in the pits, and then we go on to, the other side. But as you can see here, this isn't any quicker than running medium. This one, a 1-stopper. And again, the the main thing with a one-stopper is you can avoid getting stuck behind other cars. So we're going to gamble here with both drivers, put them on the one-stopper strategy, and in the event that the mediums get eaten up super quick, we might tune down the mediums, or we might just go full send and go medium, hard, soft. We'll have to see, but we do know that the hard can be sometimes stretched here. Basically, the softer the compounds will suffer more from a high heat, and the harder compounds will still kind of tolerate it. So I know that the hards usually sometimes have less degradation than expected, so we can still probably make something out of this. So I think we'll try this gamble. If it backfires, and we might end up sacrificing one of them for the fastest lap. We do need money. So that might be Rick's job again, although last time we didn't need to, and it actually cost us a point. Hopefully that doesn't decide the season, because if it does, I'm going to be fairly sad. I'll be honest.
The drivers are lined up on... It's almost time for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. And it's
Couple of soft runners, but for the most part mediums. Kind of what we expected. Perez there with a okay start, I guess, although Tsunoda could potentially threaten him. Rick stays where he is, which is alright. We're not really looking for any huge aggressive moves in the beginning here, so that's fine. Even if we jump someone, that would be... Well, let's be honest, jumping someone would be great, but if we can't, just staying where we are is acceptable. And we've kind of already gotten into the groove here. So for the time being, we're just going to sit back and allow these first 5 to 10 laps to run their course. We'll try, of course, to get overtakes done, but the thing that I'm most focused on here is going to be the heat of the tires. And it's already up to 127 degrees. And that does put us in a bit of a worrisome situation here, because this should lead to potentially higher deg. We have high air temperatures. It's going down a little bit right now. So we'll have to see. If degradation remains high, we might need to switch strategies, but if it stays like this, I think we might be fine. Although the Red Bull's pulling ahead here, it's not a great sign for Perez, so we might need to micromanage him a little bit, although he is kind of doing a good job right now, to get by the Alfa Romeos and start chasing down the Red Bulls. For now, though, we'll sit back, relax, allow things to progress, and we are running very, very hot here, so we are a little bit worried. We're getting very close to that first pit stop. Perez is still running for potential podium, but we are 6 seconds behind the Red Bulls. Rick is kind of battling a little bit up and down, back and forth, but because of some pit stops, he's not really ahead. We have Sainz and Stroll all the way to the back, so he too has lost out a little bit, and there's no way around it. We are going to go ahead and pit this lap, and we're going to be pitting both drivers here onto the hard. We had to tune them down to aggressive, kind of what we expected, because the degradation was higher than anticipated. But we probably could have had a better stint if I'd done that earlier. But yeah, Rick is definitely struggling a little bit. He keeps on falling backwards. Nothing much we can do about that. So we'll just have to deal with it. Now Perez actually comes out in a decent window. 5-second gap to Verstappen, who's now stuck in a DRS train. So we should be able to at least close up to the back of him. I would hope, before he gets these overtakes done, unless there's some really, really fast pit stops. But we are going to try and go full attack now on these hard tires and work with that. And for Perez, again, the main goal here will just now be to jump as many cars as possible during the pit stops. For Rick, down 19th is basically the same thing. So we'll just allow time to pass and see where we stand once everyone has done their stops. We should be getting closer to Leclerc pitting, and he's actually doing it right now. So as we can see here, Perez is currently up into a podium spot. Degradation is following what we expect, so we're looking good on that front. Verstappen did get out ahead of us though, and Leclerc has actually gone onto a soft tire, so we'll have a bit of an interesting fight towards the end. But Rick here, unsurprisingly, there's just nothing we can really do for him. We tried to make a strategy work, but he is just a tad slow, which is unfortunate. It just shows the difference between drivers in terms of their overall. So Rick is 80 overall right now, Perez is 89, and as you can see, that's the difference between being a backmarker in the current grid, well, not really a backmarker, midfield fighter, and a podium contender, interestingly enough. So it sucks, but there's nothing much we can really do about that. We will try and hold Leclerc behind this time around though. Might try and wear out his tires, but we definitely need a couple more car upgrades if we are to fight Verstappen. So for the time being, we'll just sit back, relax, and see if we survive till the end of this race. Although Rick just became the victim of a double overtake, so there's not really much we can do even if we sit down and micromanage him. I think it's going to be rough getting him into the points, although it isn't that far off, let's be honest here. It's just 7 seconds off points, so we could try, do our best here to fight him in. So for now, let's sit back, recharge a little bit, and then we'll try and launch an attack. Leclerc has overtaken Perez, so we'll have to see how this fight ends up developing too. We are nearing the end here. We have gained a bit on Verstappen too. Tire-wise, we were in a little bit of a predicament, so I'm thinking we'll try and run aggressive for a little bit here, see if we can stay with Leclerc. Because I've been trying to run aggressive, but every time we just immediately fall back quite aggressively. If we can save a little bit of tire here for the last few laps, that would be amazing. Now, for Rick, what I'm thinking here is that he just can't make anything out of this at the moment. So we will be pitting him on this lap. 4 soft tires in the hope of snatching that fastest lap. It sucks, but honestly, the pace just isn't there, which is a bit of a, concern. And we'll try and go 90 standard even for Paris here, because Leclerc's soft tires are really, really falling off. And with 3 laps to go, we just need our tires to stay alive till that point, and that should be good enough for us to kind of get what we're hoping for here. And Rick now comes out, should have a bunch of free air, should have no problem getting fastest lap, although as you can see we are falling backwards from Leclerc. That is the main issue here. If we lose the gap to him, we're probably going to be in trouble. So we're going to run top up, we're going to run aggressive, we're going to just have to gamble here. There's just no other way around it. And for Rick, we're just going to go immediately here onto the aggression and see if we can snatch that fastest lap. Well, not point, because if you don't finish in top 10, you don't actually get the fastest lap point. But now, though, Perez is probably going to have to launch the attack, because we are getting very close to the end. So we'll see if we can get him now on the main straight, and if we can, that should be good enough. Looks like we might have just enough of an inch here that we can sneak out ahead, and we kind of did. So we'll try and push. Rick is going through the final corner, I think. Nope. So he did not snatch fastest lap. Oh, he did there. Never mind. I read wrong. I thought this was Rick for a second. But yeah, Rick is 18, not 2. So that is good. He did snatch fastest lap. Kind of what we hoped for. We'll just tune him down to neutral again. And he did a 27-1. So definitely quick. Now, Perez is going to have, of course, to hold the line, so to speak, against the Red Bull. And tire-wise, they're both kind of shot. So I think this is second secured, which is good. But we need Rick also to be scoring points if we want to pull off a victory towards the end of this, or we go ahead and kidnap Gasly, which is going to be expensive, but probably something we could do, say, after the summer break if we see that this doesn't really work, which is unfortunate for Rick, but he might get the De Vries treatment, unfortunately. But second place, that's something we can be happy with for now. We still need that rear wing that I messed up. We still are waiting for the... what's it called? The underfloor, the upgraded underfloor. And we have now also a new CFD period where we are going through the front wing. So, all in all, it's not bad. But I need to be able to make parts going into next month here, Baku. That should be fine though. We have the month tick over. That isn't a lot of money. We also have the driver media appearances. This one I believe is a you lose control obligation. But after Australia now, things are going to be a little bit simpler. But what actually failed inspection? It was a suspension. So we need to go ahead and manufacture one more of these. And we are kind of running a very, very tight ship right now in terms of parts. But that is a result of our financial situation more so than anything else. So what are we going to want to design here? We're probably going to want to design that replacement railway. I just want to check. Have I made it already and just don't remember? No, I have not. So that's what we're going to be designing first and foremost, the replacement rear wing. And as long as we can get it for Baku, we're going to have to be happy with it. So let's go ahead and get this thing actually fixed. And if we want to, we can, of course, sacrifice some speed to get, say, more low-speed cornering ability. But for now, we'll just make a purely speed-based rear wing. And again, if we need this particular type of cornering, we can add that onto a different wing later on. We might even make 3 editions of this, one for high-speed tracks, one for low-speed tracks, one for medium-speed tracks, which probably wouldn't be a terrible idea because we're planning to make a bunch of them anyways. And they are pretty quick to manufacture, and they're not too expensive. So we might, again, make designs for all 3 of these, but it depends. But with this, we should get a little bit of a boost here back into, top of low speed. We also can get a little bit DRS effectiveness, but we're still lacking behind a lot of other teams, which kind of explains why we are struggling so much with that. So Baku is going to be in 39 days. So we could run a little bit of a risk here, that we start the project like this. And in 13 days, I'm going to have to kidnap an engineer. I don't think we're getting this front wing ready before Baku, though. We'll have to see. So we might... maybe we should have rushed that one. But we need to probably kidnap one engineer or two to make sure that we get that done in time, or we rush the manufacturing, meaning that we just need 4 days. It's a little bit undecided at the moment, I'll be honest. But it should be okay. Never mind, the front wing has been delayed by about a week, so getting the 2nd edition front wing ready for Baku is going to be difficult, and that also does put a bit of a monkey wrench into the plans in terms of development, because 18 days now, 35 days is when Baku starts, so no chance of we getting that done in time. So what we're going to do is actually take 3 engineers off this project. It's going to be a little bit delayed as a result, but we're going to be putting them onto the rear wing so that we can get both of these done and at least have the base version of the front wing and a proper version of the rear wing ready. Of course, this sucks because it's just a player error that has led to this. But we also do need money because we're going to make new underfloors. We're going to make new everything. Suspension we probably will not be making, to be fair, but that should still be a-okay. Is there anything that I want to manufacture right now? I think I want to manufacture a chassis because they take a lot of time, and we actually have a little bit of leeway right now. I also want to manufacture an extra suspension. They too have a tendency to explode, and we might as well also go ahead and manufacture a side pod. Now this is going to really limit our development before Baku, but we are going to need extra parts, particularly since we are running minimum lifespan parts too. So we don't really have any choice on what we do there. Once again, we have a fastest lap wish, and we'll try and accommodate. Now, what I did say about Danny Rick is that, unfortunately, because everyone is so close to each other in this current climate, we kind of don't really have a choice. If you want to win this season, we might just have to replace him, which is going to suck because he has a very hefty contract for one, and we're poor. So, yeah, this is going to be a very, very interesting season from a financial standpoint. Probably my poorest season ever. So, we'll see what we can do, though. I really feel like if Alfa showed up here, third, after a couple of races, they would probably invest a little bit more into this year's car. But for now, let's jump to Australia and see what we can do. I'm really looking forward to getting the new front wing and in the rear wing, because we keep on losing out by a few hundreds here. So we're 600 off third. Let's put it like that. So we're definitely losing out due to it, but at the same time, Rick definitely needs some upgrades. He's down in 19th this time around, so it's a really, really close kind of close 20 teams, close 10 teams. I'm trying to describe it, but I can't find the words. Basically, everyone seems to be relatively close to each other, and that makes things a little bit interesting. But at the same time, it also shows just how important the driver stats are. Although, I don't think Rick should be a second 0.3 slower than Perez. So something is going on. Might just be that he's having a bad start to the season. Might need to focus a little bit more on him. But we'll deal with that once we get there. What I'm worried about here is compound performance. The soft's 10 laps, medium's 25. Yeah, something like that. So we kind of want to do probably medium hard. Would not be a terrible idea. It's not possible to do a one-stopper though. That does mean it's a little bit compromised. But what we could do for Rick is probably this. We start him on the softs. We pit relatively early before they're fully used even. Might even pit him by lap 10. And then we put him onto a hard to medium run. Now that too is somewhat compromising because of the fact that it's Australia. There's usually a couple of red flags here. But I think that is the best we can do for him here. And again, the strategy will just be to go full attack the entire way. And try and make good positions by having him run in clean air. And, get in early. Jump back people in the pit stops is basically the best bet that we can hope for. Now for Perez, I'm a little bit undecided on what I want to do. I don't think he has any particular extra tires or anything like that. Nope, medium and hard. Same here, medium and hard. So we can't do anything cheeky like, say, medium softs, which would probably work out pretty well here. So I'm thinking we do something like this, because once again, we are going for fastest lap, kind of. And we have already failed one of our qualifying goals. So this might be what we do for Paris. It might not be the best strategy ever, but it is a strategy that will allow us to go for fastest lap, and it's still going to be reasonably quick. That's the thing. So this is what we're going to go for. Of course, because we're starting 5th, we might get hung up behind other cars. We might fall backwards on race start. He does have lower control this weekend too. So we could very well end up in the dirt at one point. But we're going to go with this, and hopefully we can make something out of this race with the current setup.
Get ready for the Australian Grand Prix. And it's lights out. And away
Looks like we had a
go.
decent start. We'll focus on Paris for now. But we will put both of them on rally defend. And basically I should have done that to Paris first so that he doesn't rack everything into turn 1. But looks like he is getting a good run in on Verstappen, who's actually on soft tires. Gasly is the same. So we'll have to see here. But if he can sneak out ahead of Verstappen already, that would be massive. And that should make getting Gasly a little bit easier. So looks like he did pull that off. We can be very, very happy with that. And as I said, for Rick here, the job that he has ahead of him is just to push these soft tires to oblivion, get in early onto the hard, stretch it out a little bit, see if we can see how many cars we can jump in the pits, and hopefully kind of make up for a little bit of lost time. Now Gasly is already falling behind Sainz and Leclerc to a point where we might be able to DRS past him. I think that's going to be the hope here. But the gap is stretching, so even we might have a little bit of trouble getting that done. We're also running out of energy. That's a different issue. So we'll tune the car down a little bit. And what's probably going to happen here is actually we are going to fall out of DRS. Unless Gasly starts slowing down drastically. And to be honest, on this stint, if we can stay with Leclerc, Sainz, and everyone, that would probably be for the best. And we can be happy with such a result. So if we stay within DRS of the 3 cars in front, we're going to be very happy. However, we might be forced to, go for a bit of an overtake here. So we're going to run top up for a little bit. Get close to Gasly, get past him, and then push. And for Rick, we're going to do what we have been doing. Basically, we are going to, of course, try and micromanage him a little bit. But we need him to try and make up as many places as he can right now. And as you can see, Verstappen is getting a little bit fighty with us there. He was passed for a second, so we'll put this back to neutral. And we could try with what we have now, which isn't much, to get the overtake done. But the second we get the overtake done, same is going to be for Verstappen. And right now we're back in that DRS train. So we're going to go back to topping up. And we're going to try and just manage for now. And for Rick here, he has a huge DRS train in front. So we'll just go down to full harvest and then we'll try and, make some jumps happen. We're getting very close now to that first pit stop. Paris is fighting up front, but they can't really create any gaps to the cars behind. So we're kind of just forced to run with them. For Ricky now, we're actually going to be pitting him onto that hard tire. He has been up into 16th, 15th, but the second we start trying to recharge, he just falls down the pack again. So he's kind of just stuck here. That's the best way I can describe it. He's stuck behind these guys, and by pitting early now, hopefully we can gain enough time to catch Magnussen, but even that is going to be very, very difficult. He needs to gain about 7-8 seconds, and we just have Perez off the track here. So let's see what happened here.
Yellow flag now.
If he did it on his own, or if the Ferrari tapped him.
Cutting it so close.
Guess he turned in a little bit too aggressively and got punished as a result, which sucks. But it is what we expected. It is a lower control weekend, so it's horrible. Of course, it sucks massively. But at the same time, there's nothing we really can do with it, and we didn't even suffer any tire damage. I think Science didn't either, or if it did, it was very, very minor. But it does put us in position here again where once we pit, we might be able to make something out of this race. That's going to have to be the goal anyways. So for the time being, we're just going to allow Perez to run a couple more laps. Because currently we're actually running slower than everyone else. So what we could do here is just pit early, which is what we're going to do. This is going to put us pretty far towards the back though. But honestly, it should be fine. So I'm going to come out ahead of Rick here. I think we're still going to be on the positive side of things. So Perez now with a huge amount of free air, can push, should push, and we'll hopefully be able to jump everyone ahead of us in the pit stops. A lot of them are on soft tires. Russell, Gasly, Verstappen, we kind of have to pray for them to stay out longer. Very long, if you will. And the lap times that we're doing now are about 8/10 up, so we need to stay out for at least 10 laps if we want to see any big effects, which probably ain't happening. Let's be honest, and Verstappen is still running fairly decent lap times here. 21 9s, 22 0s, and since they're all basically in DRS train from Leclerc down, that makes it really, really difficult for us. But we are gaining a second. We're gaining a lot of time right now, so it's still not all bad. We should still be able to fight for a podium here, which I think is going to be the best that we can really hope for with the strategy that we have picked today. We had another moment here. This is the wrong driver. This is Sargent.
Oh, we've seen a few.
But we had Perez to run a little bit wide, and that lost him a lot of time to control Gasly.
Let's watch these cars as they head into turn 10.
Apparently Danny Rick also did a little bit of running wide. So our drivers are not having a good day, and you can actually see that on Perez's confidence. Rick has lost 5 positions, so yeah, he too suffered due to that. To be fair, he should have rejoined right there. But it is just unfortunate that it's not properly fleshed out, I guess you could say. They have fixed it on a lot of tracks, but unfortunately some places just still aren't effective on the rejoins. And as you can see here, we have a lot of cars already pitted. Verstappen, Russell, Gasly, well, not a lot of them, some of them. So we're still kind of looking decent here in terms of getting out ahead. But at the same time, it's not going to be good because of the lockup. It's going to be a rough life. So we'll try the best we can and see where we end up.
Yes, it is.
We've had a bit of an incident in the corner just ahead of us here. Albon and I think that might be Gasly. They both bump each other a little bit. And that resulted in, I believe, Albon getting a puncture. Gas is still going, but we're all the way up behind him here. So hopefully we can get that overtake done. Because this would be, funnily enough, the second instance of this season where someone crashes in front of us and potentially holds us up. Which would be, you know, kind of annoying. Let's put it like that. But for now, we can just allow Perez to do his own thing here. We have a bunch of free air again. And again, everyone ahead of us except for Verstappen and Russell are going to need to pit. And we actually do make it out ahead of Leclerc. Unfortunately, though, I don't think he's going to be stuck behind there for too long. He's not going to be losing a lot of time. And we do need to remember, we're going to be pitting again. So it's not all good in the neighborhood, to put it like that. But podium, we could potentially fight for that. So we're going to be pitting Perez this lap onto his soft tires, and we're going to do the same here for Rick. Just put him onto soft tires, try the best that we can. And, excuse me. And for Perez, this is going to be bad, because he's going to be coming out basically behind everything. The DRS trains are going to be horrible to deal with. But it's just an unfortunate side you know, side effect of where we decided to, the strategy that we decided here. So we'll just have to live with that. We will try and harvest a little bit here for a lap or so. Turn him down to probably aggressive on this lap, because what we do want to get here is the fast lap. We can throw away some points there. It shouldn't be too much of an issue in the long run, because we are going to need probably to replace Rick just to have any chance of the championship, which again, I probably sound like a broken record saying that, but it is unfortunately true at this stage. Now, we are going to try and use these soft tires to, of course, get overtakes done. That is going to be the goal. And potentially here, we might have a little bit of problem getting fastest lap, because we have Gio, we have the two Alfa Romeos ahead of us, and they could potentially hold us up pretty badly here. We already gained over a second in the first sector, so we could, of course, DRS could be helpful here, we'll see. But at the same time, we could also definitely be held up enough here that we don't get the fastest lap point from this push, and we kind of lost out there. So we need to probably recharge a little bit, try and make our way through at a different time. But we can also go ahead here and kind of slow down good old Rick here, have him give it a go. And I think that's probably our best bet at this point. Perez will be trying to, I'll be putting him into position here now where he will just be trying to chase points. So that's probably what we're going to have to do. And for Rick, we'll be probably launching him on this lap for fast lap, so that should be fine. But for now, we'll keep on working Perez forwards. He should be able to get the overtake done now on the straight, I would think. I would hope, even though it is Alonso. And if he can't, we're just going to have to recharge a little bit, but he gets it done. So we'll still probably need to recharge, but we'll have to deal with that as we go. For now, Rick has actually started another lap because I was focused on that. But that has given us a chance to fully recharge, so it's not all bad. Let us get Rick ready for his flyer. Attack, push, and deploy. Should be fine to do from here. But he does have Schumacher, and he does have Albon ahead of him. They could end up being the same kind of troublemakers that Perez faced. So it's not all good. And as I said here, we are running out of laps. I probably should have pitted Perez a few laps earlier. But it is what it is. Perez actually set the fastest lap right there, so that does mean that I should stop Rick. Although he is already kind of done with it. Because we might end up in the same scenario that we did last time, where Rick ends up stealing the fastest lap as a result. The fastest lap point as a result of us not taking good enough care. So we'll recharge for this lap, then we'll try and launch an attack. We have a 3-man DRS tree in front of us. That's going to make things a little bit more difficult. So Noda, please don't slow down. You're kind of being the key here to me getting some points. So looks like Tsunoda and Norris are pushing, which is nice. So let's see if we can get past these Alpines. And I have a feeling they might just be running a little bit too close to each other, but we're going to go ahead and put the overtake aggression too high, which is risky, because as we've said here, Perez has reduced control this weekend, and he's already had a couple of incidents. But right now, it looks like it went well, and hopefully we can chase down Tsunoda, Norris. Sainz, Ocon, that's probably going to be a little bit too much, but we can always hope. But I'm really looking forward to Baku. I think that will be the final thing we do today. It's going to be probably a really long episode as a result, but that's fine. Around the Grid is kind of a 1, maybe 2 times a week thing.
Over the finish line,
and there we go. Perez ends up in 8th, which is acceptable enough. But yeah, unfortunately, Rick nabbing that fastest lap point again is a little bit sad. But we probably should have just gone for the one-stopper. I think that would probably have paid off better here. But as I said, I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do with new rear wing, new underfloor, new everything. And we did lose out on it because we wanted both drivers in Q2, but the qualifying position streak did come in, so that does give us a chunk of extra cash. And that's going to be key now to developing the car. We have a front wing fail, which is fine. We're going to be making a new one. And we have the first design in 4 days. So let's get that underway. Manufacture has been completed for the suspension. Good. Same for the side pod. And I believe we also are manufacturing a chassis. So we'll allow those to finish. And we're going to go ahead and manufacture this underfloor immediately. This underfloor is going to be ours for a while, so we could go ahead and just make 3 of them right away. I am tempted to do that. But we are also going to be making front wing and rear wing, so it should be fine to just hog a little bit of development space like that. Chassis manufacture complete again. We did know that. We are going to need to make another front wing right away. So with the money that we have, I think we're just going to have to leave a design slot open, unfortunately. Well, we have more money now, so we might not need to, on the second thought. Adaptability point for Rick. But again, the cornering, the braking, the control. You can see the difference in cornering and braking in particular. And, well, it does kind of suck. But at this point, Hauge might actually be a better one in terms of pace rather than Rick. Which is unfortunate because cornering, braking has a lot to say. Same with accuracy to some degree. So yeah, it is a bit unfortunate that just from a pace standpoint that Rick unfortunately might be a little bit washed in this season of the game. Now we have fallen backwards from the high speed, as you can see, so we definitely need to get something ready for next month, so to speak. And we definitely don't want the crew to be wary going into Baku. So we'll be sacrificing a little bit of pit time again to get that pit error chance down. And I think that is a acceptable, again, acceptable sacrifice, I guess I should say, rather than middle ground. And that is what we'll be doing. So we'll allow a little bit of gym training here, but we'll put these two to rest. And that should be a-okay for this month. So I might have to test if car building has an effect on fatigue gain if you switch up your setups a lot to find that sweet spot. But for now, again, I want to test this. I want to see how this works out. We've already, lessened the chance of mistake down to 10%. And if we can get that down to below 5, I think we'll be very, very happy. And then we can actually start working on pit stop times instead. Because it doesn't matter if you have a pit stop time of 2.2 seconds if every, third pit stop ends up having an error. That half second saved on the other 2 pit stops is not going to probably benefit you too much. So it's a hard thing to balance, though. But for now, we're going to focus on the error chance. Okay, I think we are ready to just keep on going. So that front wing that we are currently designing, we have designed suspension, but honestly, this one we are not going to be making. It's a middle step, if you will. Can probably start a couple of designs there, and I'm thinking side pods and maybe chassis. And once again, just getting up those stats that we kind of care about. Drag reduction is nice. The airflow front here isn't massive or anything, so this is what we're going to do. It's going to be, again, just a design to design thing. And we're going to do that. And we're going to do the same here for the chassis. Start developing a better one. And I think we'll do this. Cornering would be nice, but again, we do lack top speed. We would not like some more engine cooling. Because once we get engine cooling above a certain point, we can actually start sacrificing engine cooling on the side pods and get more cornering and get more top speed. So having more base, basically more engine cooling just from running it minimum like this, would benefit us in the long term. So we're just going to go ahead and do that. Now, as I said, the front wing design that we are getting now, we are going to make. We're going to manufacture it, and I think we're just going to manufacture 3 of them. That should get the job done. And as you can see, it's not a huge upgrade or anything. What? Okay, it's because we're currently running a front wing design. What is actually happening here? Let's make 2 of this wing, I guess. 3 of it. I don't know what I've been thinking here, but I'm genuinely confused at my designs last night. I think I might have been a tad too tired to even, do these properly, unfortunately. So, yeah, I'm confused about what I've been doing. And I can't imagine how confused you guys must be as a result. So, this is not a massive upgrade or anything. They really like the fact that we can get that much high speed on a front wing.
I'm actually confused. I think this is what we're going to have to go for. But I'm really, really confused at how this front wing is currently looking. Because I'm pretty sure this is the one that we use CFD time on? Or is that the previous one? Because CFD time started, I believe, this month or last month. So yeah, we started with the front wing. We started something. It took a month. So yeah, that should be the front wing we use CFD time on. Again, I'm just genuinely confused about what's like going on with the design. It's probably me thinking to trying to do something a little bit cheeky and then just completely slipped my mind today. But this is what we're gonna do. Of course, we could sacrifice a tiny bit and get a huge amount of high speed. But I think this is gonna just have to be what we do, honestly. And I'm not gonna go ahead and rush this one. It's not gonna be that big of a deal, although getting it ready for Monte Carlo would be nice. So let's put a few engineers on it. And if I want to do this, I'm gonna have to rush it. But let's just do it like this, I guess, and we'll get it ready for Barca instead. But yeah, I'm genuinely a bit perplexed at the moment. That is the best way I can describe it. So major technical regulations, this is the year where we get those major changes. So if we are going to go all in here and, you know, try and win the championship, this car is going to be a complete wreck next year. So we can vote for 55, 65% on the underfloor, or we can go a little bit harder. So we're going to vote for the complete underfloor overhaul. 70% on the underfloor, 50% on everything else. But yeah, I am, as I said, a little bit perplexed. And what we might do here, as I said, is go for replacing Rick, which is going to be extremely expensive. So let us go ahead and overall rate and see what we can find it. I know Gasly was interested at one point. Currently not. Negative outlook. So we could get Stroll. That would be hilarious. Show. Let's go ahead and do a detailed scouting, because we're not going to be picking anyone up within the year anyways. So anyone that is interested, we'll do a detailed scouting. We'll have a look at their stats. We could go for Piastri. Piastri being a free agent is interesting too. But the main concern is going to be that the cost of breaking the contract is fairly high. So I think we're just going to have to live with Danny Rick and just focus on developing the car. Which again could backfire horribly. But it's also kind of in the realm of it's a risk that I'm willing to take, because everyone is going to have a horribly backwards car next year no matter what happens. I think what I want to do here is do yet another suspension. Get some medium into it like this. And after this suspension, we should have another CFD period. So we'll be baking that CFD period into the suspension, which is fine. But I'm very concerned, I guess you could say, at the current moment on how I want to handle things. For now, we'll do this. We should still have just about enough money to, you know, manufacture these rear wings. But yeah, I'm genuinely perplexed, confused, and everything in between currently, and that is probably shining through a little bit too well right now in the video. And we also had a design center fire, so we lose another 12 days. Okay. Manufacture project is getting shut down. Please be advised there has been a small fire in the design center. Continue design and research. But this says that the manufacture projects are getting shut down as well. Excuse me? We have gotten both underfloors. We have gotten two front wings.
We haven't gotten the rear wings, but they should be fine, I think. That does give me a little bit of a moment, though, I'll be honest. Research period has begun. We are getting hit with the complete underfloor overhaul. That's going to be interesting. But yeah, I am very confused right now. I guess the designs did get slowed down here again, so that's honestly fine. Saves us some money. But yeah, I'm still very, very confused about what I was thinking before this. But let's have a quick look here at where the car is at now. We have the chassis. We're going to install that new rear wing finally. It's going to be a pretty significant boost all around. So let's go ahead and get that on there. And the front wing. Again, we're losing a tiny bit of low and medium speed cornering, but we're getting high speed and dirty air tolerance. I don't know what I was thinking when I made this one, but okay. We'll install it. Unless we've actually reached the maximum that we can on the low and medium speed cornering ability. But this is, again, this is just weird to me. And this is, again, just an underfloor. A slight increase in kind of everything cornering. Massively in terms of top speed, which is going to be neat. And the suspension we're not going to make, so we should be caught up then on parts. And that brings us up to first in high speed, 6th in low speed, medium speed. And the arrest effectiveness is still bad, but acceleration is good. So yeah, I'm incredibly confused about where we're at, honestly. So the Red Bull still has a speed by about 22, 0.022, 0.020. We have them beat here a little bit. They do have a lot better dirty air tolerance though and top speed. So this is going to be a rough fight. But I think it's going to be a fun season even so, even if we do kind of go for it. Because with the regulation changes, everyone is going to be starting from scratch next year anyways. So if we can't get it this year, we can probably just power through next year, even if we do minimum amount of research towards the end of this season. So with that in mind, we are going to end today's episode here, because I probably spent the equivalent of a back race just being confused here. And if someone can point out what stupidity I've done, what I was thinking, I would be very, very grateful. So probably just me playing a little bit too late in the evening last night. But hopefully you've still enjoyed my silliness, and I hope to see you around next time. Please like, subscribe if you haven't already, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.